Well, Missouri is no longer a swing state at the presidential level, but that doesn't mean there won't be some contentious races in 2020, including and especially the race for Missouri governor. Caitlin Shawhorn joins us again tonight from Jefferson City. She's a writer for the Missouri Times. And Caitlin, Governor Mike Parson is about 180 degrees different from what some might describe as his infamous predecessor. Does being a Republican, in your estimation, not named Greitens, give Parson the automatic upper hand against state auditor and Democrat Nicole Galloway for next year's gubernatorial election?
Well, he certainly has a massive influx of support already ever since he recently announced his intentions to run for the office again. He has the support of all the other elected statewide. The agricultural community has largely backed him. The other elected officials in the General Assembly here, most of the Republicans, almost all of them have backed him already. So, I mean, you said it, he's already gotten so much support already.
Yeah, I mean, he would seem to have coalesced Republican support behind him. But I'm trying to think in terms of where Galloway might actually be able to garner some momentum here. I mean, she seems to be in the best position of a Democrat to go against an incumbent Republican in recent time, because I think there's probably the sense among voters that, well, an auditor is kind of a serious position. You know, they deal with numbers all the time, so she must be a serious candidate just because of the job she's held. Do you think that has any sway? Do you think people would give a second look at a Democrat if they're staunch Republicans and maybe think about defecting from the Republican Party and vote for Galloway?
I think it definitely would if Parson was more of a controversial figure. You know, Governor Parson has a reputation of being a very nice man. If he was more controversial, I think then it could lead some Republicans to start looking at the Democratic candidate. But you're right, Nicole Galloway has a great record as well. She's also someone who has a great reputation. So for Democrats who maybe liked Parson, but now they see Nicole Galloway coming in, I think then they're going to lean more towards her.
What are some of the things that your reporting is showing about where things might be heading in state politics over the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh, wow. Well, there's a lot. Even though the General Assembly or the legislature is not in session now, they're still working a lot. They're still working hard. We're doing a series here at the Missouri Times called Next Steps. So we're taking a look at different policies and different proposals that maybe didn't necessarily get through this past session, like PDMP, the drug monitoring program, internet sales tax, the wafer sales tax, and kind of taking a look at what the appetite is for it in this interim and where we're going forward. And those are two policies and two priorities that lawmakers have been taking a look at while they've been away from Jefferson City the past couple of months and are planning on, you know, coming back to the table with again in January.
Are you hearing anything about trying to change tax policy? I recall a few years ago there was sort of a flirtation with the idea of a fair tax or a consumption-based tax, and it just is amazing to me with Republican supermajorities in both chambers of the state legislature that that's not gained more traction. It seems to always hit a stumbling block. Any news on that as a potentially resurrected policy proposal?
Not necessarily, but when it comes to taxes, that's always a divisive issue. People hear taxes and they're, you know, a little bit turned off and a little bit worried about if they're going to have to start paying more. So it wouldn't surprise me, but they might hit some roadblocks on the way again.
Now let's swing back to the governor for a second, because I sort of bet someone there's no way the governor is going to call a special session to deal with this issue that only involves, what is it, some car dealers and that sort of thing. Very narrowly tailored topic. Yet he did it. And he maybe looked slightly foolish for going out on what I thought was a kind of a pretty large branch that wasn't much of a limb, but he did it. Does that hurt him and the perception of him as being someone who's kind of above the partisan fray, or are people just not really noticing too much?
I don't think so, especially since it got such bipartisan support once lawmakers were actually back here in Jefferson City. The bill on the Senate side was unanimously pushed through from both Republicans and Democrats. And Governor Parson really went to bat for this issue, and he really stood his ground and stood still with his idea that, you know, this was an issue that's going to affect the everyday Missourian. This is an issue that's, you know, going to affect Missourians who want to have that little bit of extra money in their pocket. And so he really billed it as an economic standpoint and from an economic an economic issue, that this was going to help the taxpayer. And I think the way he phrased that and the way he pushed that narrative for the story won't necessarily hurt him.
Yeah, I think that was pretty smart marketing on his part. Not that everything comes down to marketing, but you're right. To talk about it as a pocketbook issue kind of helps. Now, another issue, though, that may pose some problems for Republicans, if you believe conventional wisdom, is the new abortion law that, of course, has been meeting with court challenges and suspensions and that sort of thing. The suburban Republicans in places like Kansas City and St. Louis are ones that a lot of pollsters and pundits watch to see kind of where they're going to go for an election. And I remember back in 2012 when Todd Akin was running against then Senator Claire McCaskill and made the comments about legitimate rape, and he lost what should have been a winnable election by several points. And I'm just wondering if, in your estimation, the abortion restriction in this last session may have pushed the issue a little bit too far to the right for some who look at themselves as more sort of Chamber of Commerce Republicans, and they may end up at least being less enthusiastic for the Republican Party coming out next year.
Right. The fact that the abortion law, the abortion ban, did not include any exceptions for rape or incest was really a controversial point, even among Republicans. There was one Republican House member who didn't even vote for the bill because of that. But I think, for your conservatives, it will give Parson an edge because he is more of a moderate Republican governor, and the fact that he pushed for that abortion law will really align him with conservatives. But it also gives Auditor Galloway a little bit of a leg up there to say that she's fighting for women's health care, she's fighting for the women's right to choose. So I think that it could go either way.
Yeah, exactly. Now, let me just put you on the spot really fast for one last question. Have you seen any polling thus far that pits Parson versus Galloway and to sort of see kind of where things are shaking out?
I haven't seen any early polling per se, but fundraising-wise, both of them have been doing really well right off the gate. And I know that the Parson campaign and those working with PACs are really excited about the momentum that they've seen since he officially announced.
All right, so this could be a horse race.
Yeah, it could be, but you never can really predict how these things go. That's what makes it fun.
It's Missouri. You're probably going to go Republican. But yeah, I hear what you're saying. Listen, thanks so much, Caitlin. Appreciate it. Caitlin Shawhorn, a writer for the Missouri Times, joining us tonight from Jefferson City. Thanks again. And folks, we'll be back after this.